It's not very much to start with if you know your way to the library.
How do you create a learning resource centre or library that provides a real heartbeat for a modern secondary school? In this programme, 2 LRC managers provide some answers.
Who was the table doing Judaism?
Anne Robinson was School Librarian of the Year in 2005 and manages the LRC at Nicholas Chamberlain Technology College in Bedworth, Warwickshire. Linda Hayes runs the LRC at Oaks Park High School in Newbury Park, Essex, and is also Children's and Schools Librarian for the Redbridge area.
It's the real hub of the school, and I think LRC should, that's how they should be. I mean, the library itself is purpose-built, so we was very lucky in that we have got a really lovely space to work in. It's light, it's airy, we've got lots of displays up. I've walked into libraries before and they're horrible. Peeling paint, dusty books, person sitting behind the desk who doesn't even say hello to you when you walk in. But the first thing they get from us is hello. What do you need? Do you need any help? They've taken the first step, they've come through your doors, and then it's down to you to make them feel welcome. Thank you.
I like reading, but I never used to read a lot because my old school library was no good, and now I've come here, it's really good.
We want it to be vibrant and interesting, but at the same time we want to create an atmosphere that's right for learning. So it's different at different times of the day. We have more formal seating areas for a full class and also perhaps a smaller class. We have an area of desktop computers for children to use at all times of the day, and we also have more soft seating, which is really nice for them to relax on at lunchtime or after school when they want to curl up and read. We'll have an area where we tell children to use a private voice, which means they can just talk to their neighbour quietly. And another part, we might allow a little bit more talking, so that helps children who need to do homework or who need to discuss books with a friend.
Lots of people don't have the space at home. There's, this area, particularly, there's lots of overcrowding, and lots of our students probably go home to a bedroom they could be sharing with 2 or 3 other siblings.
My sister and my brother, they always annoy me all the time, so I get nice and peace and quiet to do my homework.
Mostly I come in to look at the books and stuff and go on the computers.
It's a really good time to catch up with everything, if you're left behind with anything. Yeah, it's a good area to just come and relax in as well.
With displays, it's really nice for us to make some ourselves, but we also like to use kids' work as much as possible. We ask teachers to give us some stuff that the students have done as a result of work in the LRC, and we'll put that on display.
There's not a lot of times you have to pay for posters. We usually get them from the booksellers, and we have a policy in this library that we never advertise anything we don't have. And also we've got library monitors who will do displays. There's a lot of the artwork on the top of the bookshelves are from our students in the school. It's a chill-out zone, Our students come in here and say to me, "Oh, it's safe," and I think that means it's really good.
In the spring term, we do an inter-form book quiz for Year 7s with the final on World Book Day, which is always held in here, and that is very, very exciting, and they all get very het up in their little teams when they do that, so that's great fun.
We do Carnegie shadowing, we do something else called the Redbridge Reading Award, which is something that I helped devise with other librarians in Redbridge, and it's done along the same lines as the Carnegie Award, but this one is actually voted for by the student. I mean, I say to them, this is your library, I just work here.
You're working your way through Jean Hughes' books, aren't you?
And they come up with amazing stuff. We've had loads of activity, we have lots of authors in.
You know you're all being invited to the Ballyrye one.
I think it's a big sort of morale boost when they see that the person who's with this book they thought was fantastic looks the same as their mum.
Read, read, read.
Lots of staff today reading. Come and see if they can read.
Look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains.
This is Big Aunt Flo.
We thought, right, we will celebrate National Poetry Day, and this year we've actually extended to the whole week.
Isn't told a lie. And watch the wall, my darling, while the gentlemen go by.
We had poetry readings every lunchtime.
As each day goes by, the birds fly.
Big turnout of staff and students.
My special place, my special place.
And lots of them are really proud to actually read their own poetry.
This one is about an imaginary animal I just made up. It's called Whiskey Dusky. Whiskey Dusky, hibbity hop, up he goes to the treetop, swirly early, round and round, down he spirals to the ground. Whiskey Dusky, stop, 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 or shall I report you to the cop? Come to me, now, 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 and do not bite, ow, ow, ow.
It's something that we're going to regularly do now because the response we've got, and people have liked it so much. So we're actually going to target certain times of the year, and so we do displays and poetry reading and follow it through a year with different cultural events that happen through the year.
I gave all that up to become a teacher, and I haven't regretted it for one moment.
So we don't have messages saying no, we have messages saying you can do this or please do this, which is more positive. We also fit in with the school's behaviour policy as much as possible so that we're working in the same way that the teachers work. A librarian who's new into a school will always have difficulty at the beginning, but as you build up those relationships with students, they learn your expectations of behaviour, and they often tell each other what's acceptable and what isn't. And then as a last resort, if we have to, there is always senior management on call, but we very, very rarely have to use that. But it's there, and people shouldn't be afraid of admitting if they need help, either with a specific student or an incident, to actually call for some help, because nobody's superhuman.
Without libraries, what have we? We have no past and no future. You can come in. You open? Yeah.
I think it's really important to encourage students to become helpers in a school library. It gives them a sense of ownership.
You got any other mango book?
We recruit here at the end of Year 7. That enables the children to feel a bit more confident with the school and how it works. And then we take them through a training programme, which they have written, which takes them from being trainees through to being helpers and then senior helpers. And they run in little teams. It's quite bureaucratic in a funny kind of way, but this is how they like it. We use the programme actually in terms of if they ever want a job reference, or it goes into the record of achievement in Year 11. And now quite a lot of people around the country have asked me for it, so it's quite interesting that it might actually spread.
Thank you. Could me and mine get on the computer?
And they manage the desk, they manage the computers, they also do some shelving and walking around and helping other children.
I'll go in number 3.
You get what you're given.
And by the time you get a small team built up, they then almost advertise themselves, because the younger children see these ones helping and being confident and moving around the room, and they want to be like them, and it tends to snowball.
Get to the line.
I couldn't do without them. They're absolutely brilliant.
We've got one girl who is now Year 11 and has been my library monitor since Year 7, and I can honestly say I could probably go away for a week and leave her to run the library. She actually trains our younger library monitors.
Did you get that for me, please?
Like when the books come from our bookseller, we get them putting the labels in the books, putting the barcodes in the books. It's things that take a long time to do, but have to be done before we can start cataloguing and putting them onto the computers themselves.
I think it's one of these quite small theatres it was showing. That's how I got to hear this.
We may sit in our library and yet be in all quarters of the earth.
There's 22 computers in here, they're all networked, so they can come in here and pick up their own desktop. They all get a certain amount of print credits, which actually is governed through our IT department. All the stuff they print has to come through the library printer, so we can keep a close eye on actually what they're printing. We have a member of staff in whenever they are on computers, because it's on a separate floor. We don't allow them onto the internet if they're unsupervised, because it's something that can be abused. We have an imperator system on my computer, which I can actually lock into their computers if I'm here on my own after school, and we've got students working upstairs. I can actually see on their computers what it is they're doing, and I can block them and I can stop them and I can send them messages.
We put all our computers actually onto our library management system, and they are issued in the same way that books are to students or staff. So that enables us to take statistics of use. But the helpers are very vigilant as well, and if anyone's playing on games and things at lunchtime, they are quicker than I am to spot it and to sort it out.
And the software that we use here is Alice, and all of our students can access the catalogue from their desktop, so they could be anywhere in school. Staff can do it as well, and it's very, very user friendly. They can just go in, put in a subject, and it will throw up something for them. It's a good tool because we can get students in classrooms or a teacher in a classroom sending students down to the library to pick up stuff that they know actually is sitting on our shelves.
How many things have you found? So we keyword everything carefully so it can be accessed by students and staff. And the main aim of that is to help students choose it independently so that they then are happy and confident in using us.
We shouldn't teach great books, we should teach a love of reading.
We keep up on all the latest fiction. When the new Harry Potter came out, we've got a good contract with booksellers, and the students were able to take it out the day it came out. We have lots of things in here that are sometimes frowned upon in other school libraries, like our graphic novels. We've got a large graphic novel section, and I bought those particularly for boys who do not really read. We have lots of magazines as well, and they're not just magazines that are linked to the curriculum, they're magazines that people would go and pick up off the shelves anyway. We have Ms, we have Smash Hits, we have Match, we have Toxic.
When we buy, we think about the curriculum first, but we also think very hard about the sort of things that students are interested in. So if they want to suggest various titles to us, we will then do our best to buy them. We read a lot of reviewing magazines to keep up to date, and I visit bookshops as much as I can to look at what's new and what's current and what's going to catch people's eyes. We also try and have a range of multimedia resources covering things like posters and videos and DVDs. We have a big section for reference books as well.
I sometimes use it for homework because I'm not really good at that homework thing, but when I do it, it's got a range of and a selection of books that I could use to read or just to research.
And we also have a section called Boys Club. And in fact, if you come in at lunchtime, you'll find, if you look down the LRC, you'll find that it's a lot of boys are sitting and reading. More boys, I think, read than would like to admit it.
A book is like a garden carried in the pocket.
It is important to keep the stock fresh and up-to-date and interesting. One summer I took quite a considerable number of fiction stock off the shelves because they were out of date and old and didn't look very nice. And the reaction from students when they came in September was that we'd actually bought a lot of new stock when we hadn't. And that just shows the difference, that nice new books can get hidden behind the old tatty stuff. And so it's a bit like looking after your garden. You weed it and take out the things you don't want. You encourage and nurture the things you do, and that's really how we work.
I think one of the main things is to listen to them. It's no use having books on your shelf that you think they should be reading if they're not going to read them, and that's to me is the worst thing. If they don't touch my shelves don't look a mess, then I've not done my job properly.